Hello, Canucks fans. Welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by Bet365. Okay, Harm, where do they go from here?
I mean, the last few days have been devastating for the team's playoff odds. And I think the fans in the city understand it. I don't see too many people looking at the standings on the score or NHL.com and going, only 5 points back with 2 games in hand. They're still in it. I think people are coming to terms with just how much of a long shot it is for them at this point. And this is why when they lost to St. Louis, sure, we were talking about, okay, they at least got 1 point. But to allow St. Louis to pick up 2 points, especially given how easy their schedule was over the weekend, they collected another couple of wins. That was a huge missed opportunity. They needed to win that St. Louis game, especially in regulation, if they could do it. And then, I mean, to drop that Rangers game when they dominated a play from start to finish, every other team around them ended up winning over the weekend too. Plus the uncertainty around Elias Pettersson right now, Kevin Lankinen's form not looking particularly sharp. To put it into perspective, the Blues are on pace for 92 points right now, based off their overall season record. To beat that and get to 93 points, the Canucks need 17 points in their last 12 games. To accomplish that, we're talking about a record that is 8-3-1 or 7-2-3. Really, that means the Canucks only have 2 or 3 regulation losses maximum left to give through the remaining 12 games. And you got a tough slate of opponents coming up with games still remaining against Winnipeg, 2 against Vegas, 1 against Colorado, and 1 against Dallas. So it's a massive uphill climb at this point.
12 games remaining on the schedule, the first of which happens tonight when the Canucks face the Devils. Note start time, folks, 4:30 p.m., and it is a prime game, so make sure you're able to watch that. And as I always say on the prime ones, make sure you go watch it with one of your elderly family members. Going to my grandpa's, as I always do for the prime games. Thatcher Demko has been activated from IR. He is going to start tonight. Word broke last night from Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman that it looks like Demko was going to be a possibility. Now, the thing that we're hearing on Demko, and the thing I think Friedman even said it as well, is that Demko is coming back and knows the team needs him. Now, we don't know if he's at 100%. We also don't know if he's not at 100%. But the thing that Friedman kept repeating was that Demko knows the team needs him. Kevin Lankinen was not good against the Rangers. And I brought it up on Friday, and I think we should have spent more time talking about it. But I did ask you guys, has Lankinen played too much? And has Lankinen looked tired? And I think the answer to that question is yes. And I know the thing everybody points to is, oh, well, he's getting beat on deflections. All these other things are happening around him. But the thing that I really looked at, Harm, was he was sliding around his crease a lot, even when they were still picking up wins. And even when those pucks were getting stopped, and even the deflection goals, when those were happening, he was just sliding around a lot. He didn't look really comfortable in his positioning. And I think it was just starting to catch up with him. And I think this one on Saturday between the Canucks and Rangers really just was the emphasis, and really, I don't want to say the final nail in the coffin on the Canucks season, but a real blow to the Canucks season, and one where they really needed Kevin Lankinen, and he just didn't come up big for them.
Yeah, and this isn't even meant to be criticism of Lankinen, in my opinion. He's did everything possible this season to keep the Canucks in it. He's just at a point where the workload is too heavy for him. He's not accustomed to being a starter, and even if he was the sort of 1A here, you're typically not going to give a goalie the type of workload that he's had down the stretch here. It would still be even more balanced if he was just a regular 1A type of starter. So he's been beaten into the ground. He's fatigued. He's tired. Talk had sort of alluded after the game to the fact that he may, or insinuated that he may not even be 100% physically himself. So I don't blame or fault Lankinen for it, but there's no doubt that the fourth goal, for example, the Brodzinski game winner, that's one he definitely needed to have back. The first 3 I can sort of forgive because a couple of those were redirections, which are tough. They change on a dime for goaltenders in terms of the direction of the puck. The first Brodzinski goal that JT set up as well, like that's kind of a bang play. But the second one is just, especially after Brock had just tied it to make it 3-3. There were only about 4.5 minutes left on the clock. You just can't allow that fourth one.
Came down to goaltending. No one wants to hear it because the Canucks took 39 shots in that game, which is the highest they've had all season. Gave up just 12, which is the lowest they've given up all season. Lankinen had to face 11 shots because obviously one of those shots was an empty netter. It came down to goaltending. Igor Shesterkin made the big saves for the Rangers. Lankinen didn't make any saves for the Canucks. And obviously, there's some hyperbole there, but it did come down to the big save, and Shesterkin was there for his team, and Lankinen wasn't. And again, it's not really a criticism. I'm not trying to be too critical of Lankinen. It's just looking like he's playing way too much. So Thatcher Demko makes his return. We knew this was coming to some extent. Last week, we talked about the report from IMAC that Demko might play against one of these New York teams, and the Devils obviously included in that conversation as well. So he's going to start tonight. That looks like we know that's going to happen. Patrick Allvin, moments before the show started, actually came out and said that he is activated from IR, Thatcher Demko. So Demko starts tonight. I'm curious on the Demko conversation. Like, I don't think it's going to be Demko coming in and saving the day. I think Demko coming back from these injuries has shown that he needs a few games, which is normal and natural and not a criticism of him at all. He's shown he needs some games. It'd be great if he stepped in and was phenomenal again. And I wonder how up to speed he is, but let's not forget, like, it took a while, and it was really right before his injury that he really started to turn back into that Vezina form, which, hey, glass half full, at least he showed he can get back there to that level that he was at last season when he was the runner-up for the Vezina trophy. He showed he can get back there. Now it's okay. Can you get back there and stay there by staying healthy?
Yeah, it's a tough ask when he's had time off, all the stops and starts. He was exceptional right before he got hurt in that Toronto game, right before the Four Nations break. But you're right. I mean, up until the 3 or 4 games where he'd found traction, he'd been scuffling. It was tough for him to find rhythm, for him to feel comfortable in the crease. And, the explosive lateral movement, the rebound control, the quick reaction and instincts to bang plays. Those are parts of your game that you can't really replicate in practice. They require NHL game reps, and he just hasn't had a lot of those this season. So it's a really tough ask. It does help, I think, that he's going up against a Devils team that has really been fighting it lately, that through the second half, they have had a difficult time scoring goals. They're also without Jack Hughes. They have a sort of banged up lineup. There's been, controversy around New Jersey lately. So it helps that he's going up against a team that at least isn't an offensive juggernaut right now. But to expect him to carry them and play at his Vezina level form down the stretch, I mean, it's a remote chance, but it's something that the Canucks need if they want a chance at a Herculean climb back into the playoff race.
Another thing that happened down the stretch of that Rangers game, Elias Pettersson looked banged up on a face-off, and he went all the way to the dressing room, which is a long walk. I say all the way because it's a long walk at Madison Square Garden. He goes to the dressing room. He returns in the second period. Then he's not out to start the third, as was Nils Höglander. Both guys absent to start the third period, with the team saying neither of them was going to return that night. Both players absent from practice yesterday in New Jersey. Now, we don't know, because there was no morning skate today, we don't know if it's going to be a night without Höglander and Pettersson, if they're going to be without one or both players, or none. We don't know just yet, but given that they didn't practice yesterday, I would say it might be, it would come, I think, as a surprise to me to see both guys in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, and that's a huge blow, because it finally felt like the top line was building some chemistry. They'd found that trio that clicked with Pettersson, Höglander, and Besser. And now to rip 2/3 of your first line out at a time when you're already thin on top 6 forward options, Filipino is banged up. It's it puts even more pressure on Quinn Hughes to carry the mail offensively, which is a huge ask. I mean, that's another part of the Rangers game that I think we have to talk about is that was one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen from a defenseman in a loss. He did everything he could to put the team on his back. I was looking at some of the numbers after the game. Logged 28-25 time on ice, 9 shots on goal, 9 individual scoring chances. He had the assist on Dakota Joshua's goal. And the Canucks outchanced the Rangers 16-2 during his 5-on-5 shifts. He also clocked the fastest speed for any NHL player this season, according to NHL Edge, during one of his third period rushes where he took it sort of end to end. It's remarkable, especially after the St. Louis game where I thought he looked a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued, and I thought he really looks like a player that's banged up. The fact that he summoned all of that energy for that game and was that dominant it's just so unreal, and it makes the loss that much more demoralizing for the team.
That rush was really pretty. Losing JT behind the net on the forecheck and then just blowing past everybody.
He was relentlessly attacking the slot. Relentlessly. When you look at the 9 shots on goal, we're not talking about floating point shots. We're talking about him getting the puck at the point, breaking somebody's ankles.
Matt Rempe,
just firing.
You can say it. Matt Rempe's ankles.
But he wasn't the only Rangers winger that he victimized. It's, the shake and bake was going on all I was going to say night, but it was a day game. But just relentlessly attacking the interior it's like watching prime Derrick Rose in the NBA, just with the athleticism, finding a way to just drive the inside. It was so special to watch, and man, you just really feel for Quinn Hughes at this point. Imagine how he feels, right? He's playing through multiple injuries. He is playing nearly 30 minutes every night. Despite that, he is the offense. He is this team's entire offensive potential, and to have that type of performance, leave it all out on the line, dominate the Rangers, and to still fall short, and on top of that, to have the out of town scoreboard crush them too. That's really got to sting if you're Quinn Hughes.
We're gonna get to the out of town scoreboard aspect of it all, but this one, Jacob put this in our chat. What would happen? He asked J-Pat this in the second period for rink wide. Quinn Hughes shots on goal or Lankinen saves, and it ended up being shots on goal for Quinn Hughes in that game. It's bleak. It's bleak when that happens, but yeah, like that was honestly, Harm, that was just one that was just demoralizing. Like you could feel it where you were like, okay, I know this is going to hurt them in the standings, but like this is going to hurt the confidence of the team as well, that they play so well and don't get the result. That's just like, that's enough to shake you to the point where you just say like, okay, you know what? We gave it everything we had. That's all we can do. This might not be the year, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet. Despite what you might see on Money Puck or all these other outlets that are telling you the numbers. Don't tell me the odds. I'll tell you the odds. Looks like 11% is what I saw on Money Puck today. 11% chance for the Canucks to make the playoffs. So some stuff has to go right. It's got to start tonight as well. Okay. Out of town scoreboard was not friendly to the Canucks over the weekend. The St. Louis Blues are on a 6-game winning streak. The Calgary Flames are on a 3-game winning streak. And the Utah Hockey Club is on a 2-game winning streak right now. In fact, according to Money Puck, Utah has higher odds than the Canucks do for the playoffs, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's according to Money Puck. So we respect it. We respect it. But things are looking bleak for the Canucks. And again, you look at that St. Louis schedule, and the only way that Calgary or Vancouver are making the playoffs is if this St. Louis team just like drops an easy one, right? There's some games on there that you're like, okay, they might lose this game. Like they might lose to the Colorado Avalanche, but can they also pick up a loss against the Montreal Canadiens, the Nashville Predators? They face the Penguins. Like,
hold on.
That's what you need.
Why are you grouping the Habs in with those teams? The Habs are a playoff team.
Jacob, I know. So were the Canucks when they played the Blues, but the Blues took care of business against the Canucks. Don't try to put what you're doing is you're trying to put the Montreal Canadiens in the same conversation as the Colorado Avalanche.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying they're not in the same conversation as the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Absolutely they are. They're closer to the Penguins than they are the Avalanche.
And they're closer to the playoffs than the Vancouver Canucks are. But
yes, this is true. This is all true. But what I'm saying is when you look at this, the only way for the Canucks or Flames to pass the Blues is if the Blues lose one of those games. Because I think we're all looking at it and saying, like, yeah, you okay, let's not even put the Habs in so that Jacob doesn't get upset again. You look at the Nashville Predators, right? Like, okay, they're going to take care of business against Nashville. But if they lose that game, but if they lose this game to the Penguins as well, the Kraken, again, Utah, that's the only way that any of these teams, the Flames or the Canucks, or Utah, I guess, are sneaking in. Is if those if St. Louis basically loses the game that they should win.
Yeah, you're not at the point where you fully control your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
You're reliant on your competition going cold, and that's where it's one of those things where everything needs to go right from this point onward. And outside of last season's miracle dream campaign, when has everything really gone right for the Vancouver Canucks? What I will say though is cursed franchises always do this thing where when you think they're dead, like it looks like the Canucks are right now, they'll start winning and give you that glimmer of hope that, ooh, is there a chance here? But then here's the key part. That's only to get your hopes up to then crush them again. That as soon as you start believing again that they might have a chance, that's when it goes off the rails again. So there's still a chance that the Canucks pick up a couple wins, build some momentum, and we're having a conversation later this week of, ooh, do they still have a legit shot here? But just keep in mind that cursed franchises will do that and then crush your hopes again.
It's going to, like someone in the chat was already talking about it, like how low can the Canucks fall? And we broke that down over at Canucks Army in terms of win-loss, like how low can they fall in the standings, and really how high of a draft pick can they get is what we were really talking about. People are pointing it out though. They're gonna go on a skid where it's like, oh my gosh, they might get 10th overall. Then they'll end the game on a 5-game winning streak and jump up to 16th overall or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna happen. We know it's gonna happen. We've seen this before. Okay. Let's get to our poll question, which is about the playoffs. Because look, there's a lot of doom and gloom today, but it's not over. It's not over till it's over, Harm. So let's get to our poll question, which is brought to you by Pacific Toyota dealers who want to tell you about the 100% electric Toyota BZ4X. An SUV packed with plenty of space, the BZ4X can handle any terrain and can take you from the city to the slopes. Plus, if you're driving a BZ4X, you get access to HOV lanes, even if you're driving alone. When you choose the BZ4X, you can get $6,500 in rebates and incentives, and now you can finance a 2025 BZ4X from 3.29% APR for 36 months. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. All right, poll question. If the Canucks are going to make the playoffs, obviously we've talked about the out-of-town scoreboard, but in terms of things that can happen to this team, I asked a simple question. What's the most important thing that needs to happen for the Canucks to make the playoffs? Demko returning to form or Pettersson being healthy? And majority of people with 70% of the vote are saying Pettersson being healthy, while the remaining 30 say Demko returning to form. Now, I also went Pettersson being healthy because you look at the Canucks center depth. Filipino's probably not coming back is kind of what it looks like right now. We wish the best for him, but he's had a lot of concussions. It's not looking good for him to come back this season with so little time remaining, but I really hope he can. And to the point that he's healthy, right? I hope he can get into a game here. It'd be great to see him again before the end of the year. But you look at the center depth without him, and then you look at it without Elias Pettersson. Like the third period of that Rangers game, Harm, it was bleak. It was Pius Suter and Teddy Bluger rotating in on the first line. Like that's not going to get you to the playoffs. And Aatu Ratu, who got called up and is going to play tonight, Aatu Ratu is not getting you to the playoffs. You need some help in that center depth, and there's no help coming, is my point. So Pettersson being healthy, the drop-off between Pettersson and Teddy Bluger is big right now, at least. And the drop-off between Demko and Kevin Lankinen, while it may seem insurmountable right now, is a lot smaller than the gap between Pettersson and Suter Bluger.
Well, they need both.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
If we're having this, what is the most important thing? They need both realistically to go on the type of heater that they need to close the distance between them and the Blues and the rest of the competition. But I'm actually going to go against the majority and say Demko returning to form because I'm assuming we're talking about Vezina caliber form.
Yep.
Which, hey, that's a long shot, right? That's not exactly something you can bank on. It's very far from a guarantee, but the Rangers game is a perfect example of what elite goaltending can do for a team. Shesterkin stood on his head, and in a game that New York should have had no business being in, him stopping grade A chances all night long kept the Rangers in it long enough for them to muster just enough offense and get enough bounces that in a game where they had no juice offensively, they were still able to come out on top, and not just come out on top, but win in regulation too. So that's the power of elite goaltending. I've always believed that goaltending can have a bigger impact on a team's result than individual skaters. So if Demko is able to get back to just if he pitches and if he gives them a 930 save percentage or a 935 down the stretch here and he plays the bulk of the games plus the rest that affords Lankinen, what it means for Lankinen's, what it could mean for Lankinen's performance bouncing back in the games that he starts. This team, even if Pettersson's in the lineup or not, they need elite goaltending. They're going to be trying to win games 2-1, 3-2 to go on a heater. And to do that, you need elite goaltending. So I'm actually going to lean towards Demko. The key part being not just returning, but playing his absolute A game.
And more than anything, they're going to need some help on the out-of-town scoreboard, which they have not gotten to this point. All right, let's get to anyone else. Shorter show today, maybe. We'll see. Let's get to anyone else. Presentation of Greta Bar YVR, the home of our electric watch parties. Greta is a great spot for all games, home and away. Conveniently located just minutes from the arena. Make Greta your pre-post or main spot to chill next time you're downtown. With drinks, the iconic street food menu, and of course the arcade games. Head on down to Greta today. 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Let the games begin. Okay. Some questions from the chat. LC250 said Canucks Reddit said in the beginning of the season the new center ice logo at Rogers Arena is going to curse the season, and they called it. I liked that center ice logo at first, but you can't go into it with that logo next year.
It's okay. It was. I'm trying to remember the way that it was cut or shaped was just kind of weird. I didn't mind the color scheme, but
well, I mean, yeah, it blew up the logo basically. The logo's just massive. It takes up the whole center ice.
Yeah,
there was
I don't like it.
There were multiple teams this year that kind of experimented with center ice logos. I almost wonder if the league kind of pushed to teams like, hey, you know what? We'll be really lenient, kind of do something different. We want to stand out. And I don't think it worked for very many teams. I know Vegas has been doing this for a few years, but like no one else really caught up until this year. But yeah, it was a flop right from the start.
They did do it. I didn't see Vegas doing it.
Vegas in years past has done stuff like this, right? Like with the whole gold logo, and like they had like the year after they won the cup, they had like the texture from the Stanley Cup bowl like on the center ice logo. They've done this kind of thing before, and yeah, the rest of the league was like, okay, let's try it, and yeah, it did not work out for the Canucks. Ottawa's looked weird too. They did the same thing, blowing up the logo big.
Oh yeah, I don't like Ottawa's. The Vegas one looks really cool. I like that. I didn't know
there's for viewers and listeners, there's a website called thefaceoff.net, and if you go there, you can literally view every center ice logo from NHL history, like any team, any year. So that's a cool one if you want to kill a little bit of time.
Did the Habs ever? Because I'm thinking back to center ice logos that I hated. Did the Habs ever? I remember from the EA NHL video games from years and years ago, there used to be. Was there a time when the Habs had two mini logos on each side of center ice?
They did for most of their history.
I don't like that. I like the one big logo much better.
So they ditched it. Like that was actually really common for most teams up until like the 90s. And then the Habs and Flyers were the last two holdouts. They both switched, but I think Habs switched like 5 or 6 years ago. The Flyers a few years ago. The Flyers actually switched back. So the Flyers went back to the two small logos, but the Habs still just have the one big one.
Yeah, I like the one big one way better.
This website's awesome. I've never heard of this. The faceoff.net, it's got BCHL ranks. This is amazing.
Yeah,
this is great.
PWHL, like everything you could imagine, all the Olympics. Yeah, and then it's sortable by year. Really, really cool site if you haven't ever visited.
How did you find this?
I don't remember. I stumbled across it years ago, and I check in every once in a while when I just want to be like, a little nostalgic, switch the year back to like 2003 and remember my childhood.
I love this. Yeah, this is really nice. Okay. Speaking of the BCHL, speaking of junior hockey. We got an update. Sorry. Hold up. Talk it. Okay. Hold up. We've got an update. Talk it says Pettersson and Höglander have both been sent home and will not finish out the road trip with the Canucks.
Not exactly great news there.
That's not good. How many games are left on this road trip? Hold up.
Quite a few.
4, including tonight.
What the hell happened? What happened to them?
Well,
we're not going to find the answer.
Talk it after the game.
Okay.
Didn't give his typical, he doesn't think it's that serious. So that, which he said about basically every injury. So as soon as he said that about Pettersson, Höglander in the immediate aftermath of the Rangers game, talking to reporters on the road, I was like, ooh, this does not seem good.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really not good. Well, let's keep talking about that. We got a super chat in the meantime. Gather your thoughts, folks. I'll read people's comments after I broke that news to them. I'll read the response we got. But we got a super chat from Spatzilli who said Harmon never flops. You've played basketball, right? You played basketball growing up?
Yeah.
Do you ever flop?
No.
I would flop. I'm a flopper. Get the call. Dude.
See, I played soccer. I should be a flopper, but I'm not. I don't like that.
Do you flop?
I hate that in soccer. Guys flop in soccer all the time.
Oh yeah.
At every level.
Bad. Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. I was that kid in baseball who would always make everything a diving catch if I could.
I am 0% surprised.
Yeah. Pays the bills, man. Okay. Yeah, this news. And thank you for the super chat. Of course, that is in support of the BC Mental Health Foundation. We appreciate it. Okay, let's just get to the chat reaction to the news. We're so done for the season, said Ms. L. I'm not going to read everybody's username. I'm just going to say what everybody said, okay? Suter, Bluger, Amon, and Ratu center core for the next 4 games. Rest in peace, playoffs. It's Jover. We used up all our luck last season. There it goes. Not great. We'll buy playoffs. Tank for 10th. Don't underestimate the effect of a hot goalie. Demko will save the season. There's a positive comment right there. I like it. A Chip said, unless Demko goes beast mode and has 4 shutouts, PD and Hog busting doors. We're absolutely cooked. This reminds me of a 2019 Canucks lineup. It shouldn't even talk about injuries. He said Demko is week to week and he missed 3/4 of the year. Hey, we have draft picks this year. I think of the positives. I like that. Okay. And apparently Miss L had it in our chat first. I missed that, so I apologize. I got text from people. And I just got a text from my cousin who's flying out from New York and said, the news is out, but PD and Niels are on my flight home. Got it from a few sources on pretty good authority. That's crazy. Yikes. That's actually, yeah, like that is tough. It's gonna be the Quinn Hughes show tonight, but that's a tough blow. That's a really tough blow.
Is our Canucks Army watch party at Greta gonna have to include like a draft lottery simulator up on screen after the game?
For sure. Yeah. But the tank is on. Like that's the thing. Let's not beat around the bush. Like the tank is on.
Okay, it's not on yet.
What? Okay, fine. You're right. Fine.
Plus, I'm so exhausted from being on Team Tank for the last like decade.
Yeah.
That the idea of hopping back on Team Tank has zero appeal to me. Yeah, there will be a point when we know, okay, for sure they're done, and at that point, yeah, it's in the team's best interest to land the highest draft pick possible. But boy, Team Tank just sounds depressing. I mean, consider where we were last season. Consider what the expectations were heading into this year. Let's not talk about Team Tank yet.
Fair enough. You don't want, that's the thing. You want them to compete and you want them to give it their best shot, which is what they're going to do tonight. But that is really bad luck. That is really bad luck. And here's the thing. Team Tank isn't hoping for wins. It's just hoping for a high draft pick, right? Or excuse me, hoping for losses. It's hoping for a high draft pick and putting yourself in the best chance to compete long term. This is a really tough blow for this team. Really, really tough blow.
Well, also just even outside of the playoff implications, think about the seasons that Pettersson and Höglander have each had. Massive disappointments, especially Pettersson, but both guys are also starting to turn the corner. In Höglander's case, it's been really since the new year that he's been driving play. But as far as the top six role, it's only been a few games that he's starting to find his groove, or maybe the last 9 games, if you want to specifically look at when he's been picking up points at a more prolific pace. And Elias Pettersson around that same 9-10 game range that he has been significantly more productive. It hurts a lot for both guys to not be able to continue that positive momentum down the stretch and to have some of those positive vibes interrupted by injury now. It's just devastating for them individually too.
Jacob, can we pull up Tankathon? I just want to know, Harm. I just want to know what we're looking at here.
Canucks are never lucky in the draft lottery too. That's like, don't even get your hopes up.
Jacob's already got it up. Jacob, hit that button.
All right, here we go. Nothing.
Hit it again.
Boston wins the lottery.
Just keep hitting it. Just keep hitting it.
We're going to be here all day.
And, you know, like the Canucks can only move up to 10 spots. They can only move up to 5 based on where they are now. And, yeah, I could probably click this button 100 times and we still won't see the Canucks.
Why isn't it moving? Why isn't it moving, Jacob? Make it move.
They are moving. It's just the Canucks are stuck because they never get
So they do need to lose some games. They do need to lose some games if they actually want to have a chance here. But there might be a good player available at 15. Let's look. Who's available at 15?
And on this one, the Rangers won the lottery and moved up.
Jeez. When do we start talking about that unprotected 2026 that the Canucks quickly flipped to the Penguins? When do we start talking about it?
Okay, come on. We got lots of time here. Let's
so not yet is your answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. I'm just quickly looking at 15. Radim Murtka, right-handed defenseman out of Seattle. They don't need that though. Like, get me a center. Get me Jake O'Brien. That guy sounds tall. Hang on.
I believe that's one of the guys that either Dave Hall or Cam Robinson has brought up.
6'2", right shot center, 32 goals. That's my guy. It's been settled.
There you go.
Oh, wait, actually, there's another center here. Hang on. Caleb Denoyers. You heard of this guy? That's the thing.
I've heard of this guy.
Dave's given us some names before. 6'2". Yeah, no. Plays in the queue. That's not my guy. Don't. I'm not a Caleb Denoyers guy. Braden Coots. There's another name. A lot of centers in this draft around here, hey?
Yeah. It's not overall, though, a strong draft class.
Braden Coots, 6 feet. Sorry. That's my guy. I'm telling you, that's my guy, is Jake O'Brien. That guy just sounds, and he's been trending up to the top 10 lately. I can see that.
He won't be available for the Canucks at 15, I don't think.
So they need to lose some games. Get me Jake O'Brien. That's my guy. And I can see why he's moving up draft rankings. He moved up these draft rankings that I was reading, had him at 15. He's already moving up my personal rankings past these other two guys I talked about. So
I want to hear Quad's personal rankings.
Okay, hang on.
He's just gonna Google actual rankings and go sort by height, and then he's just gonna read them off.
Number 1, I got Michael Misa, because Michael Misa actually is really good. Oh, actually, I might like Matthew Schaefer more at number 1. This is actually a toss-up. What do you think?
I feel like we're not at the point where we should be having serious conversations about the draft.
Oh, this was a serious conversation?
Any conversations?
Is Victor Eklund William Eklund's brother?
Eklund is like a Swedish name, like Johnson. There's so many of them. It's a very common name.
But this one's also playing pro hockey. Hang on. Clayton Djurgårdens doesn't really look like him. Hang on. I can figure this out.
I'm gonna say they're probably not related.
Brother, William Eklund. Told you.
Okay.
Dude, don't question my draft knowledge. Don't question my draft knowledge ever. Okay.
That boosts your authority and credibility right there.
That's right. The Quads Vibes ranking.
You needed that one.
Called them. This one from Michael Chow. Jake O'Brien sounds like a dude that is going to set the Roxy on fire.
Honestly, kind of right.
Okay. Anything else that you wanted to get to?
I mean, I was gonna dive more into just how disappointed I was with the power play, but is there really a point?
It doesn't feel worth it. Conversation in the chat said Denoyers is unreal. Quaz would love Denoyers if he knew how he played. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know anything about him. I don't know a thing about these guys. But I'm gonna start some draft prep. And again, here's another thing. Goaltender. Do you think the Canucks should select a goaltender? I think so. I think they should absolutely select a goaltender. I'm not saying select it high, but I feel like it's been a few years, hasn't it? When's the last time they selected a goalie? Isn't Ty Young the last goalie?
Yeah, I was going to say probably Ty Young.
That's way too long. They had a rule.
They could take his former junior teammate, if they want to use their first rounder on a goalie. Ravensburgen will be available around 15.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I would use a first round pick on a goalie though.
I'm not saying they should. I'm saying it's a possibility.
I love Ravensburg too. Like, he's so good. He's so good. Yeah, I don't know. All right, we're going to do draft prep. We didn't think we'd have to. We thought we'd have a game still. There's still going to be a game. Come on. Let's be real here. Yeah, okay. Anything else you wanted to get to? This is like sad. This kind of derailed everything.
There are a few actual hockey related comments in the chat. I'll put them into our private chat.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Mike Weller. If the Canucks fall out of the race, who do you want to see get some ice time with the big club? Call up Kirill Kudryavtsev. That kid's just like doing so much in the AHL. And again, it gives you the chance to use NHL games as kind of a reward for, hey, you've made some really good progress. Get a taste of this. Go into your off season of training. Come back next year and see how it is. I'd love to see Kirill Kudryavtsev get a shot.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ratu get more minutes. He's at a point where he doesn't have much time left in terms of his development runway. He's getting up there in age. He's going to be 23 next November. I also want to double check his let's see if I can pull it up on the fly here. His waiver eligibility. Because I think he might require waivers to be sent down next year. So he's really close to the point where
LC250 in the chat says Ratu requires waivers next season. So if we believe LC, who usually is correct on this kind of stuff when they post into our chat.
Yeah, I can't unfortunately pull up next season's.
Do you want to hear a guy I want to see get minutes? Tom Melander. Get Tom Melander as much ice time as possible. Put him in the NHL. If Brogan Rafferty can play NHL games, so can Tom Melander.
Yeah, he does require waivers next season. So Ratu, not just for limited fourth line minutes. If they fall out of it, give him a consistent top 9 look, whether it's at center, whether it's at wing. You got to know whether he's an NHL player or not.
Yep, absolutely. Because that's the thing is that's going to change the way you approach P.S. Suter in the offseason. Or it should, at least, right? When you're looking at your center depth, you need to know what you have in Ratu. And it's go time. Like you said, waivers next year, it's go time for Ratu. It's time. It's time to figure this out. So he's in tonight. We'll see how that goes. Reg M in the chat said, anyone else upset the Canucks didn't trade Besser, Suter, and Forbert? Yeah, from day one. Like from the trade deadline, we were talking about how that was a little bit interesting. I wonder how this goes for Brock Besser now, though. Hey, like scored some goals. Now he's got no first line again. I'm assuming he doesn't score, but I really don't think it matters. Those conversations of, oh, I wonder if Brock Besser going cold at the end of the year is going to hurt him in free agency. Nope. I think 5 goals in 3 games in that stretch when he finally had some chemistry with his first line mates. I think that gets rid of all of that from Brock Besser. So I think all that power goes back to Brock Besser. I wonder how it ends up for him and the Canucks. I wonder if there's a contract because like you kept Besser because you didn't want to take away from a team that was contesting for the playoffs. And now playoffs are such a long shot. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good situation.
Yeah, the Canucks with Besser are kind of, in my opinion, backed into a tough corner here where
that they backed themselves into.
Yeah, where either you let him walk for nothing or you sign him to a contract that's probably too expensive and probably won't age well long term.
What did I say before the deadline? Oh yeah, needlessly reckless, I think was how I put it. Keep him through the deadline. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It's a situation that I'm very curious to watch unfold, how the Canucks approach it. All right. Anything else you wanted to get to, Harm?
Nope.
Okay.
I've got one thing, Quads.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You mentioned Tom Willander. So the NCAA tournament bracket is out. A little small, so I'll full screen it here for the viewers, and I'll go through it for the audio listeners. So his Boston University Terriers have Ohio State in the first round of the tournament. Ohio State, whose starting goalie is actually from Burnaby, former BCHL player Logan Turness, who had a .925 save percentage this year, but he's only 6 feet tall, so I don't think his name's come up in many college free agent discussions. But there's the look at the bracket. So Boston University, if they lose that first game to Ohio State, which I just got to double check when that is, as I search, it'll be on Thursday. So if they lose that game Thursday, their season is over, and Willander could probably join the team on the road trip if he decides to sign. If not, then the actual Frozen Four goes, I believe, in about 10 to 13 days from now, somewhere in that 2-week range in St. Louis. So, hey, if Boston University goes on a run, then we probably won't see Willander anytime soon. And then it'll bring the question in, like, is he going to sign? Are they going to burn the year for 1 or 2 games? Or are they going to burn the year and get him, 6 or 7 games and actually get a good look at him? Who knows? But that's kind of what you have to deal with when you have college players playing in the tournament into April.
Thank you for that update, Jacob.
I wish there was better news around this. I wish we were talking about it like, oh, can Willander join a playoff push and just be around the team for exciting, meaningful hockey? But I think that vibe has been long killed at this point.
Okay, I know it's doom and gloom today. I do, but we're gonna bring the energy. We've done this before. This is the thing. It's a little different today because we found out about it in mid-recording, so we're trying to process it all. But we're gonna bring the energy. So people, we're going to be back tomorrow to break down tonight's game between the Devils and the Canucks. It's not over yet, statistically. And we're going to break it all down, and we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun no matter what's going on with the team. So I appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now saying sad times for the Canucks. Travis Wall said sad times, but we're not winning the cup this year. Still a ride or die Canucks through thick and thin, but it's been thin a lot. Yeah, it has been. It has been. But
this reminds me of a tweet that went viral where it was, I think it might have been tweeted by Acting the Foolman, Leafs account, which said that something to the effect of the point of being a sports fan isn't to watch your team win, it's to be sad in a big group together.
That's what we're gonna do. We're good. We've done this before. And yeah, I mean, if it's a loss tonight, we can probably hold a funeral tomorrow, is what Red Gem was saying in the chat. Have the funeral tomorrow. We'll see. Demko's in. Quinn Hughes is really good. Never know. Never know what can happen.
And the Devils, boy, we should probably talk about Sheldon Keefe just annihilating Jonathan Kovacevic.
That was strange. That was really strange. For those that didn't see it, basically post-game, Jonathan Kovacevic which I thought was a pretty innocuous quote, gave the banger quote of, yeah, we just got to have a playoff mentality right now and sharpen up. Like, it seemed like a pretty cliche
Super
answer.
innocuous.
Yeah.
Super. There was nothing interesting about that quote.
Yeah, super cliche, normal quote. And then a reporter goes in to the press conference with Sheldon Keefe and says, Kovacevic just said you guys need to have like a playoff mentality. Is that what it's about? Blah, blah, blah. And all Keefe has to do is say, yeah, absolutely. You said it, right? Like, we've heard that in Vancouver. This is all normal. That was his script. But he instead goes, Kovacevic needs to play better. That would help.
And then the presser just ends there.
Everybody was stunned. It was just so weird.
It's just there was
like
too.
5 seconds of silence, and then he just walked off. I should have had the clip. I'm sorry.
It's so funny too because he never called out the core four in Toronto like that ever.
Ever.
Remember the one time he lobbed, like, he didn't even call out Mitch Marner, but just seemed to insinuate that the top guys need to play better. And then the next day he had to walk it back and said he had a conversation with those guys. I mean, boy,
so
it just goes to show how sensitive those guys in Toronto were.
Yeah, so soft.
But also, as a head coach, you shouldn't be like, I know Kovacevic hasn't played well down the stretch ever since he really signed that extension. And it's true, Kovacevic does need to play better, but I mean, for a coach to just rip his player like that, yeah, that's just frustration boiling over.
A lot of suggestions to play Quinn Hughes at center. Now or never. Get him in there. All right, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day. I gotta pull it up. What did I say last time? Jacob, pull up the tracker.
I haven't rebuilt the tracker. We're past that. You also lost like 7 of your last 8 bets or something, and
put the tracker away. Put the tracker
away. If I'm not mistaken, let me just take a look at the games from last show day, and that might be I think it's Pittsburgh Columbus. And I believe you picked Columbus to win, and Pittsburgh won 6-3.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, you're like Columbus trying to get back into the playoff race. You picked them, and then they lost 6-3.
All right, what's on the line tonight? What do we see? NHL slate. Let's go with
the chat won't like this, but hey, baseball opening day is Thursday. It's probably going to start shifting to baseball bets here.
Of course it is. Especially once the Canucks are in the playoffs, I stop. It will be baseball as of Thursday. Everybody should be ready for that, and I don't want to hear people complaining about it.
By the way, if we do get to the point where the Canucks are out of it, like properly.
Oh, yeah.
And we're entering the territory where fans want losses rather than wins. Are you going to get back to betting on the Canucks?
Oh,
how many times they lost when you'd bet on them?
Interesting theory, Harmon. I will give that some thought. Thank you for that. Actually, that's too
early for that now, but just something to think about down the stretch here.
Yeah. Okay. Columbus is taking on New York, the Islanders. Okay, and we are going to take the Columbus Blue Jackets, the underdogs. I'm on a bit of a losing streak, I know, but I'm still going with the underdogs. I am taking the Columbus Blue Jackets at plus 115 odds on the money line. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, is never ordinary. Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. All right, we'll close it out there. For my co-host Harmon Dial, our technical producer Jacob Azar, my name is Dave Gugelli. Thanks so much for the episode of Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.